Welcome to Coupling with the Carlins. Your host for the show is Marion Carlin and
Tia, also known as T-Tay by my faye. Thank you for joining us today.
we're going to have an amazing show.
We're going to talk about love, and mastering the art of coupling in your relationship. You are listening to Coupling with the Carlins.
What's happening out there? This is Marion Carlin and
Maybe. Oh, there I am.
There you are.
It's Tia Carlin.
That's right.
And guess what day it is?
It's Friday.
It's Friday. It's Friday. It's Friday. It's Friday. It's Friday. It's Friday.
It's Friday. We are back.
We are back.
Babe, we've been gone for it's been
just one
week. We weren't here last week.
Right.
But we're back now.
But we are back now. Back now. How have you been?
Babe, I've been really good.
That's good. I haven't seen you in so long.
No, you haven't.
I never
seen me
see this guy. I never see him.
Well,
sometimes he goes to the kitchen.
Yeah, that's. Well, you catch me. I'm around a lot.
Yeah,
It's just,
I do find myself looking for you around the house quite a bit.
Well, yeah.
I think everyone does that, you know.
Well, I've missed you. I missed you great dealing.
Oh, have you?
Yes. Even though I see you all the time, I missed you.
when you've been in the backyard.
When I've been in the backyard or just around the house, because we work from the house and everybody knows that, and we see clients, whether we're Zooming or we have private clients.
Yes.
We work from home. We've been doing it even before COVID.
We did. COVID did not make a huge impact on the way that we did things. We had been kind of staying in, and I was healing it right before that, so it wasn't a huge adjustment for us. So we know how to be together and to be alone. But yeah, we weren't here last week.
That's right.
And we were just talking about what the show topic would be, because we're always finding new
reading,
content, writing, and filing, finding new information, and just looking at different dynamics and
all the time.
Our clients and what they have going on, and of course, we're our own favorite example.
Well, we have to be, right?
Yes, exactly.
We have to be each other's favorite example of reading and writing and filing and what it is that we do.
A lot of relationship. Living relationship and working relationship and having relationship and helping relationship and growing relationship.
That's it. We do it each and every day. And because we do it, and we do it with such a passion, we've been doing this body of work for, can you believe, over 10 plus years, separate and together. It's crazy. We were doing it before we were even matched together.
I think it's a naturalness that if you are a person who really likes to study human behavior, relationship, I know that I became interested in just family dynamics, all of those things when I was having a family, starting a family, observing families, all of the above. And both of us come from families that did a lot of coaching, type counseling.
Yes, having parents who were
mentorship, leadership. My mom was a born mentor. Yes. She just would take on projects. So not projects, but people and relationships.
Heart.
Minister's heart. So it is truly the one thing that I can't help but do, even when I'm not doing it, I'm doing it. Yes.
Yeah, we were doing it at 6 o'clock this morning, 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
We were, when you're passionate about this body of work, and we are, and we thank you, all of the listeners, for listening to our show for as long as you guys have been listening to our show. By the grace of God. Yeah,
thank you, Bobby.
Thank you so much, Bobby.
Studios, just for having us here in the studio, giving us this opportunity to really share what it is that that we do.
Yes, and serve the community for the aspect
Absolutely.
and the commitment that we do.
Yes.
Because, with our passion, we love to just teach how to do relationships,
Mhm.
and then the nuances of when you have a long-term relationship, a second or third marriage, or a long-term relationship. What does that look like? How is
Right.
that? What's the fundamentals behind that? How is
And-
that,
And not just
unpacked?
how to do it, because it's people think doing relationship is just being in a
Mhm.
relationship where both people are agreeing that they're in we're in a relationship. We've
Mhm.
made this decision, but
Mhm.
it's the actual working on getting through,
Mhm.
moving forward,
Mhm.
over having breakthroughs,
Mhm.
because without that, we see it all the time. You grow apart, you lose that connection,
Mhm.
and sometimes it's so far gone that it's so hard to reel back in.
Completely
So
hard to reel back in
it's a garden that has to be tended,
every day.
and no one has a better grasp of your relationship than you and your
Now, that's
partner,
interesting.
and
That's
your
interesting.
perspective, and
Yes.
what works for you, and what is sound. Because one of my favorite things to say to people is
Couples.
to
Or
couples,
people, yes.
but even when I'm not dealing with a couple, just
Mhm.
even a person, because I find this to be the case a lot. When a woman is single, possibly,
Mhm.
and has had relationship but maybe isn't married or has never been married, and then she's advising another woman on what should be happening with her husband, and until you're in a marriage
Wow.
or relationship where
Mhm.
you're living with someone,
Mhm. Where the rubber meets
where
the
the
road.
rubber meets the road,
Mhm.
you have shared worries and joys and happiness and pains and trials and tribulations,
Yes.
and all of those things, and laundry and dishes and kids and
Yeah.
school lunch and
Yeah,
picture day and parent teacher conference. I mean, just on and on and on. You really don't know how that dynamic is going to work. Even in the best situations, there's going to be problems. There's going to be fundamental things, and as you progress in your life, you will be triggered to deal with things that have happened to you that even before the relationship was started.
Yes.
Because when you have children, that will remind you of your childhood.
Yes.
When your aunt passes away, that'll remind you of your mortality.
Mhm.
There'll be all of these cues that you're reacting to through life. And so it's just so important to be discussing how you feel emotionally
Yes.
with your partner,
Yes.
so you are on the same page and you're growing together. But what I was going to say about when you have a friend that's saying what they would and wouldn't tolerate. So
why are you taking the words right out of my mouth right now? Absolutely.
So there will be people, well, I wouldn't tolerate that. I wouldn't tolerate this. Well, what people don't realize is you don't know, or that person doesn't know, what your spouse or significant other is tolerating from you.
Right.
So there has to be tolerance on both sides. Don't think that one person is just tolerating the other. It's a mutual tolerance.
Yes.
And we want to go above tolerance to acceptance, and even above acceptance to actually honoring, understanding, and appreciating the differences.
That's good. That's good, T.
In the relationship, and also compared to other relationships, and just what you're learning from the other person. We know that people say opposites attract, but we know that people that like the same things, the like the same things generally are the most successful. But what people don't realize is that those successes of people that like the same things, they've grown to like a lot of those things. Those aren't necessarily the things that they were doing right when they met. They are growing together into becoming more similar because they're allowing themselves to let go of a part of themselves. So that requires that. And what you're dealing with, if you feel like you've got a issue with your partner, significant other, whether it be just any problem, just the way conversation, not enough time, any of those things, and we start venting to people outside of our relationship, they don't have the full dynamic on what's going on. And that is why we do what we do.
Yes, absolutely. And that, absolutely. Yes. Continue, babe.
We like to come in and,
that's good,
fresh
babe.
eyes, a fresh perspective.
Yeah.
Having someone come in that has seen a lot of people in the same experiences, have the same experiences, because there's only so many things that can happen. There's only so many things that we're feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And we just put those things together, and usually most things are people aren't understood, and they don't.
That's good.
They feel misunderstood. They don't feel appreciated. All of the things, and so we have tons of exercises and coaching skills and tips and assignments,
interactive exercises and assignments, and homework that begins to work. When you mention, which I think is another key point, because we read this, we write this, we file relationship every single day. You mentioned having an extra set of eyes. Well, Marion and Tia, what are you talking about? It's intrinsically interesting to both of us when you're in relationship is that you both have your two eyes and your spouse and significant's two eyes. And so you're looking at the issue.
Right.
And in coaching, relationship coaching, which we've been doing for a number of years, a coach is only focused on the win. So think about it as far as like there's a losing team. Team, whether it be baseball, basketball, football, right? They've been losing, and so what happens is coaches, they make a living on their wins. They don't make a living on their losses.
How to change the dynamic of the play,
or professionally.
Right.
And a new coach is going to have a different set of eyes. He's not going to like the playbook that was before him, because that playbook was not his own hindsight, mindsight, eyes experience.
Yes.
He's going to have a different set of plays in the playbooks. Well, Marion and Tia, what are you talking about? Those playbooks of plays, they're unfamiliar. And most of the time in your relationship, you're operating in a consensual habit that is
an ecosystem.
It's an ecosystem, and it's unwarranted and it's unintentional. That's become familiar, where the slippage of these habits are affecting your relationship, and you're trying harder because you're doing more, but habitually, emotionally, you're doing what's happening is that behavior is not serving the relationship. And you both are trying to say, will you please stop doing this? And you both are saying, but I'm doing all of these things, and don't you see what I'm doing? And the spouse and significant other is saying, will you please stop doing? And then both of you are focusing on what is not being done because you can't see what is being done. And then that new coach is coming in, and he or she is saying, do you see what you have?
Do you see what you have?
What is being contributed to the relationship? Because I don't know anybody that's been in a relationship for a long period of time and the relationship is working. It's working for a number of reasons, because number one, you two are committed to the relationship and marriage.
You're committed to the win. You're on the same team. You're behaving in the third person.
Absolutely. They're hopefully committed to the highest power, which is our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. That's our belief in God, that you're enduringly submitting yourself to Him.
If you're committing to something and you're surrendering to something, you have to have something that is holding you accountable to that commitment. So
all the time.
You have to be surrendered to something greater than yourself.
That's good, babe. That's good.
It's very important, and that both people have that same belief system. We know people need to be equally yoked on what it is that they consider their own standard of what is acceptable or not acceptable in a relationship, and the deal breakers. That's in the beginning.
That's good.
But I find it so important.
The deal breakers in the beginning. That's good.
Yes. I find it so important to have those fresh eyes, because we have created ourselves with our friendships just misconceptions about what's really happening in the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
The whole story isn't being told. We all struggle to communicate effectively. So you have to assume that you're communicating that to the other person effectively. They're hearing it correctly. They're processing it correctly.
Mm-hmm.
They're giving the
feedback,
the benefit of the doubt to the other person.
Mm-hmm.
They're not being biased
or critical.
Right. And then you have to also understand it's running through their own set of belief systems and what they think is right.
Genesis of identity.
Right. So when that information's coming back to you, it's like a game of telephone. By the time it gets to you, it's not, what they're giving you back isn't even relevant.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's
so
good.
What we find where coaching is such a amazing, effective tool
right.
in a relationship is because you have that fresh set of eyes.
Mm-hmm.
The eyes, we know what works.
We know what works too.
We know how to get the wins.
Definitely.
And the beauty of being able to do this together, opposed to not doing it together, is we have to live it ourselves. So there's very few things that are brought to us that we don't have that same something that's similar to that dynamic that we can relate it to. And so there's that, and there's also the fact that I'm a woman and you're a man, and men and women think differently.
Completely.
And so we're able to really come in and give perspective. I can generally give more of a perspective to a man on how a woman is feeling, and you give a perspective to a woman about how a man is feeling.
That's good.
And in our coaching sessions, we say that we always start out to say that you will love me to hate me, to love me again, because it is the work, but it's the result that matters. That matters, and it's worth the investment. Just think of what you're getting Netflix, you're doing all these things, you're going out on dates, you're spending time together. But if the time you're spending together isn't joyful, isn't intimate, isn't communicative, isn't good, if it's not quality, then it doesn't matter how much. You can go, people say, oh, we didn't go on enough date nights, we need date nights. Well, if you go on date nights and you're just eating, looking at each other, and you're never stepping into anything that's more challenging, then you're not moving forward.
Not at all.
I look at it as more of a like an insurance policy.
Okay, elaborate a little bit.
Well, it's a safety net. It says we are committed to taking care of this relationship, and if
marriage.
we have in marriage, and because of the significance, and our relationship is more than just the two of us, because we've dragged all of these other people with us, because we all come with other people, and that's making an impact on these other people. And so let's put some protection on that. Let's look at it. Let's make sure that we're on our P's and Q's, that we're doing the best that we can, that we're aware, that and all of those things moving forward. So I think people sometimes, I think coaching is really great for people who are not necessarily wanting to do therapy sessions that are ongoing.
Which are a beautiful thing.
I am a total
supporters.
Yes,
of
I love therapists.
Yes.
I think that they're amazing.
Especially phenomenal therapists.
Yes,
which are very hard to find.
Which are hard to find. Exactly. And I think it's important for people to work on their own stuff and work on stuff together. But what we're saying is, how do you take that information? Because this was always the piece that I struggled with therapy. How do you take what you've learned about yourself, digging up all of that emotion, and how do you put that to work for you, applicate it to where it serves you, your marriage, your family, your children, which all spills over to all of your success in life, your job, how you feel about yourself,
professionally.
Yes, because we're social creatures
by nature.
By nature, we, as much as someone can be an introverted person, we need people. People need people.
Yeah.
We're
scientifically proven.
Yes,
that's how babies
pack
develop.
Animals.
Yes, how they develop faster is by interaction and personal touch.
Personal touch, and personal touch is important. So we just hit all of those things that we need to be relevant.
Yes.
And nothing shocks us. There's nothing that anyone could ever say to us that we are so non-judgmental.
Yeah.
I mean, we come with, hey, you know, give us your truth.
Katie by the door. We have a fiduciary responsibility and a full level of disclosure that what you expose to the Carlins stays with the Carlins.
It stays there.
You mentioned something that was powerful a couple of minutes ago, Tia, about relationship. And marriage is the full lifelong commitment that you're going to do relationship with your spouse and significant other. It's the commitment through everything that you're going to go back to. We're going to work the relationship. If relationship wasn't difficult, you would have more people that were married. And happily married than people actually being single, because it's easy to facilitate a relationship when you know you can always exit and get out. And a lot of times in relationship,
we're not saying that being single is easy, especially if there's parenting involved.
That's not easy, right? That's not what I'm saying. I want to just give a clarity to when you're in something, and even a long-term relationship that you've been committed in. We've been doing this for over 10 plus years. You know, it's getting up to the 10,000 level, 20,000 people that we've been doing this.
But you're invested already.
You're so vested. So why would you stop unless it's something that's drastic?
Don't leave your money on the table.
Right. And then another thing to add to that is we've seen couples who have left money on the table and they've gotten some person they equally have developed into this entity of where they really have become a better spirit, human being, mentally sound, physically sound, spiritually sound, and then they get tired and they give up. They're just worn out from all the transitions and all the transformations, having not possibly being grounded in their faith as much to continue, and then they finally stop the relationship. This is what we've seen. This is what the data. They get with other people and they look back and said, all I did is get him to her or her to him for someone else to enjoy everything that I've been doing with them.
Or you get in the relationship and all of the stuff that you didn't fix in the first one follows you there. And what I love about second marriages and blending families is I love to ask people, so this is generally done when we're talking privately with just one person. And when I'm talking privately, especially
I know where you're going with this. This is good.
It's like, what are the things that your husband now, if I'm speaking to a woman, complains about that your previous husband complained about? Where are your patterns? Because you hear something once, okay, that could have been their opinion. You hear it more than once with someone in that same position. That's something that you've got to go back and deal with. And that usually gives you an indication of where that growth needs to happen, where that adaptability needs to come from. We also like to debunk a lot of the fairy tale idealism that people feel they're going to have in a second marriage. Everything, all of their problems from their first marriage, they're not going to disappear, even though there's like children and everything. So you're taking on a brand new set of, you're definitely leaving something, but you're also picking up something much heavier than what you anticipated. And that's why I think going in for the second time, it makes you very brave. It says that you do believe in love.
Let's clap for second and third marriages.
It says I'm not.
Absolutely.
Just because it didn't work this time doesn't mean it can't. But I learned something from that, this is going to be a challenge. Go in knowing it will be a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
It will take some time. It will take real strategy. It's going to take work. It's going to take compromise, self-reflection,
all the time.
All of those things. Sacrifice.
Forgiveness. Because both what we found in the continuity of couples doing second and third relationship and marriage is that both of them, or fourth or fifth.
And it doesn't even have to be a marriage, because you can have had a significant relationship.
We run into it all the time.
Yes.
But the continuity and the common denominator is that they're both going after the joy effect.
Yes.
It doesn't matter in their past relationship what they've been through. Everybody has been through in a relationship or marriage that didn't work out.
Yes.
All of us.
So what are we seeking?
Right. What are we seeking? And what are you still believing in? What we found, and the data keeps showing us, in the body of Christ, outside of the body of Christ, what the common denominator, and we would want you to have it in the body of Christ, is the joy effect. There's
the joy.
And there's a parable in the Bible that says all the time, the joy of the Lord is your strength. Right.
Joy will come in the morning.
Right.
Yes.
So the joy effect of still believing that, you know what, okay, let's keep it 100. Say, for instance, that your spouse and significant other, they're not where you want them to be. Well, what spouse and significant other actually gets to the point of being ever where you want them to be? Because we're all evolving. It's like you're never going to get to the destination. The whole marriage and relationship is about the destination. It's about the journey, not the destination.
How do we choose behaviors that make those same issues that you have going on? Because we're not saying we're going to come in and make your mother-in-law who hates you love you, and we're saying, how do you stay together, committed, connected, can communicate things to one another, be very honest about how you're feeling, how they're feeling, come to an agreement, stay in the circle, do what's best for the good of course, the relationship that will then spill over. And so that's just so important, and that's an investment. That's something that, especially when we know people in second marriages, no one wants to fail a second time. And
no.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You think the commitment is serious the first time.
Yeah.
The second time, because you have the wisdom of the first marriage and relationship.
And let's be honest, everyone's watching. Everyone's watching.
It's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
And on top of everyone watching, everyone already knows. They already know, and they're hoping that your marriage and relationship is going to work out. You have everyone watching, and then you know for a fact that it's like, you know what, to go through this again and to end up at the same place where I once was, I don't want to be there.
I don't want to be there.
Even us men who move so much slower on so many things, when pain and degradation has not taken place just yet, and suffering. It's like, I don't want to be there again. That's not what I want to be. So the facilitation of, we got to do something about this.
We got to do something about
this. Is where Tia and I and our level of coaching comes in.
The head in the sand.
The head in the sand. It's like, we need some new direction on this. We need a new approach.
Right.
We need a new, an opportunity to facilitate in a different level of a behavior.
And also, what we always look for with new clients when we take them on is, are you committed? Because you've already committed to the relationship. So commit to the improvement of the relationship.
Say it again, see, that's fire.
Commit to the improvement of the relationship. Commit to the solidifying, the bonding, the more intimacy, the strength of. It's like, reinforce it. Make sure that you're at your greatest potential, because when your relationship is working, I'm telling you,
fluidity,
every other aspect of your life is going to be better. If you're happy in your marriage, when you're happily married, you're a better mom. When you're happily married, you're a better dad. You're a better employee. You're a better friend, business owner. You're a better entrepreneur. Because you've got that soft place.
Soft place to land. Where the men just straight talk, real talk. Say, for instance, that, you know what, your marriage and relationship is rocky, and it's rocky. And your wife and significant other, she's feeling that it's rocky, knowing that it's rocky. You feel you feel there's been a line of demarcation, just a line of separation.
And we'll
that's set
pretend
up.
we don't feel that energy, but married people always feel the energy. You can try to ignore it, but it's there.
It's there. Get a piece of paper, draw a line vertically.
That's what I was doing.
Yeah, exactly. Upside. Last week we did the blank canvas, right?
Mm-hmm.
Draw a line down the sheet of paper, and then you can just see a list. Now the focus needs to be men, and only this first: how amazing your wife and significant other is.
Mm-hmm.
Period. It's so easy, and we all know this habitually. It's so easy to count the what-nots and the do-don'ts
and what
and
I want.
It's so easy. But what are you counting that it's like, oh my God, she's the bomb with this and that, and she's amazing with this? Because that's the stuff, I promise you, that's the stuff that you're going to miss. I promise you, if you're not careful, you're going to say,
and to celebrate those things, you're going to get more of those things.
Yes.
So when you're celebrating, and that's what you're operating in, when both people are operating and celebrating one another, then, it's just like anytime you're feeling great, if you put on a gorgeous dress as a woman, right? You want to put on some pretty shoes. Well, now you got your pretty shoes on. You want to put on some pretty earrings. You keep adding to it, and you feel encouraged by making it better. So no matter even if there's just a few things that you're able to pinpoint that you're aware of, because we do bring you a lot of level of awareness of things that you probably don't even notice.
And how to have that conversation.
Right.
And how that lands well.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And how to really express the affirmations to that person and encourage more of what it is that you do want. Because sometimes another person is exhausting themselves to meet an emotional need that person doesn't even have. So they're doing an act of kindness,
That's deep.
They're expressing a love language that isn't being responded to because that's not what they need.
Most of the time.
Because we know that some of your needs are being met.
Or you wouldn't be in the relationship.
Right. So
in marriage.
Right. So even if those needs are actual needs, are there the additional needs that are a higher priority? And do you know what your partner's highest priority of need is? And that is an evolving conversation, because we are living in a world where every day is different, and we're evolving and we're changing, and things are happening and things are happening around us. So it's about, checking in and doing the work and putting in the effort
to find that need out. And it may not be one of the 5 love languages.
Yes.
There are languages that are outside of just the 5 love languages. Well, Mary, why are you saying
very
that?
Complex.
Because we can get in relationship. Yeah, they are. That's
they
exactly
are.
right. You can take an information of what society is saying in their books on relationship, and then that becomes standard on how your relationship should be operating in, from information that has come, your way by society. Well, here's how you operate. Well, there could be languages outside of just the 5 love languages that are so popular.
Yes.
It's attuning to, this is what I really need.
This is what I really need. And it might be coupled with something else. Very, very specific.
I was saying a couple of minutes ago about where men need to be about in marriage and relationship. There's a parable to you in the Bible that says, honey, that you have to stand and let God be God. Sometimes men need to be, shout out to Pastor Rich, men need to be full redeemers and wanting to just say, hey, wife, I know we're here and it's a season. Life is just life. It's not good. It's not bad. It's just life. You will have times in your marriage and relationship where it's just like, woe is me. You will have times in your marriage and relationship that you will be on the mountaintop. You will have times in your relationship and marriage where you'll be in between the mountaintop and woe is me. But I promise you this, somebody needs to lay the spiritual love law down that you're here and you're committed to this, and we're working on it forever. And sometimes women and men, I'm calling you out, men, you just need to lay the spiritual law down of love to say, no matter what, I am here for you, and this family. I'm not going anywhere. I'm digging deep. I'm pressing into the Lord more.
Now, this is excluding, we have to always give the disclaimer, this is excluding any kind of emotional and physical and
mental,
financial,
serious abuse. That's not what I'm saying.
Neglect.
Those things are, if those things are going on and you know it and everybody else knows it and you're feeling like I may have to put a restraining order on you, please get out. No, that's not outside of that. That's what we're saying. That God, we're just struggling in this. Husbands, men of God, men who are in committed relationships, step up. Lay the foundation. Be the example. I had a mentor. He once said to me,
and there's so much love and restraint.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's what you don't say when you could say something.
That's where love is.
Where there's grace.
You need to repeat that. Yeah. It's what you love is not what you know. I once said this a long time ago. It's what you don't do.
Yes.
You can know everything about your spouse and significant other. That's great. But in times when you want to act one way, because love is everything that God is, everything that the flesh isn't, and that's what love is. It's what you use restraint in, and you don't do, what you don't say, even though if you know it's the truth. It's how you approach that.
Right. You don't have to bring up everything. You don't walk around behind your kids and say, wow, why do you walk so strange?
Right,
or why do you keep dropping things?
Acceptance.
Pure acceptance. And really just being able, it's really the transformation of being able to go through a process where you actually see your partner differently. And that's where the breakthrough that we see with our clients really happen. When that switch happens where they can see that person differently.
Like they did in the beginning.
Or sometimes better than in the beginning, because you've overcome things and you've had beautiful moments and you've had triumphs and trials and tribulations and joys and pains. And so you can, it can be even on a much deeper level, a much more honest level. Sometimes that we have people that are coming in and we have to intervene because they have something really tough they need to tell the other person.
Tough truth.
A tough truth.
We used to call that truth train.
Truth train. And it's when that train comes through.
Shout out to Truth Train, or then the opportunity to have the Truth Train. Shout out to KJ. I want in a safe environment. I want to build a bridge. Shout out KJ and him. I want to build a bridge. So it's like being able to do that and operate in that in a level of real safe, loving continuity.
Right.
Where your spouse and significant other, they can feel like, oh, here it is, guys. Here's the rub. Oh, I know this may be difficult. Right. I know something is coming my way, because spiritually, we absolutely can just about discern just about everything. We know when something's coming down the pipe that's not going to feel good. It's being able to have the love, the emotional closeness and safety to know that even though this is coming your way, there's a full degree of transparency and openness where you're going to be okay. Where like this information is coming to you, but your spouse and significant other has the best intentions to expose this or share this to evolve the marriage and relationship team.
And I believe that in those situations, when someone is humbling themselves, when someone is making themselves vulnerable to their spouse, they're especially vulnerable because you're already vulnerable to your spouse. So if you're having to make the extra effort to be vulnerable, that's so humbling.
And they
humbled themselves.
They'd have the conversation.
And so I like to talk about humbled acceptance. Like when someone's bringing you that vulnerability or that truth or what's happening, you don't instantly jump on the high horse, because
humble acceptance.
We can start having a scapegoat person where it's like, but you did this, which is the reason why a lot of people keep secrets, because they don't think they're going to be forgiven or accepted, or they don't feel like the dynamic will shift to their disadvantage, because they're already expecting that person to take advantage of the mistake that they've made.
The vulnerability.
And if we're coming from that place, then we're not on the same team.
No.
And we as coaches, we have to make sure that we have both players suiting up in the same shirts, with the same uniforms,
going the same place,
doing the same place, knowing how the same execution,
same level of commitment.
Yep, the rule book.
Yep,
and how they're going to do that, and what they're committed to, and how they've agreed to communicate to one another, and just all of the tools, the right execution.
Even though the outcome, they don't know what the outcome is. They're performing the right execution.
There's so many specific things that can change the outcome of a discussion, and in working with us, you can find out some of those things. But I'll say one of them, which I've mentioned on the show before, is timing.
Yes, timing.
Timing means a lot.
Marriage and relationship.
When you're going to share timing. We also live in a very...
That's good. You might want to expound on the timing.
The timing. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, so you might have a situation where in your marriage and relationship something is occurring, and you want to share it, you want it to be unpacked, that it's creating some issues within yourself, because 9 times out of 10, the issues that you have in your marriage and relationship, most of them, you're not going to like this, I'm going to say it anyway, don't have anything to do with your spouse and significant other. 9 times out of 10, these emotions that you're feeling and triggers that you're feeling have to do with you.
And your level of expectation.
You want to improve your marriage and relationship. All you've got to do is start digging deeper on your own stuff, crap, internal combustion, genesis of identity. Well, Marion, why are you saying this? Because when you get to that process and you get to a level of healing where you want to be all that you can be, not only in Christ Jesus and not only in the Lord, and not only for your spouse's significant other, but for yourself at the same time, you begin to want to share, and you want to share certain things and share issues and unpack things, where you've got to learn and have a sensitivity to the timing of when it can be received.
Right.
Something can be received.
I have written here on my piece of paper.
Great.
It's the 3 T's.
Okay,
so
the 3 T's. And the joy effect. All of this is because you want the joy effect of your marriage and relationship.
So we've got 3 T's, and this is just one aspect of them.
We teach this in the code.
Yes, we teach this in the code. Timing. So we don't want to... You don't complain about how much somebody doesn't do while you're angry unloading the dishes. That's probably not the best time to talk about...
Not the best time.
About how we divide responsibility in the house.
That's good.
The timing. We don't want to do things when we're hangry.
Yeah, timing. Okay.
Men, this is especially true for men, so I'll say this to women.
Yeah.
Men can't think properly when they're hungry and tired.
No.
But we operate differently. We've had children, and we're built differently. They need to you've got to feed. You don't have to feed them specifically by hand. Yeah, right. Make sure that food has been ingested.
Yeah.
And
played a role.
Yes, food, and that they're not exhausted, because we all have mental fatigue, and you cannot go into something with clear space when you're exhausted. You've been at work all day, you've been on your computer, your phone, you've got so many things going on. So that's part of the timing. Second one, temperament is you're going in with a realistic expectation.
Yep. Yes.
With kindness and grace. You're coming in with not only what is negative. You can sandwich things. You know that the way in which people communicate is different, so I wouldn't say that I'm going to give you the exact words you would say to that person, because every couple has their own language in which they speak to one another.
That's good.
But so just checking your temperament, checking your temperature, checking your pulse.
That's
all
good,
of those things, and then the topic, because sometimes we sit down to have a conversation, and I know this is true for women. We will say, this is the problem, the topic, and before we even get to the conversation. There's so much conflict just from the way the topic was presented. Like the topic is, like the problem is, yes. So the topic.
Issues on issues.
Right.
You can't even get to the issue.
Because you're dealing with, right. So let's say there's a woman at his job that he's interacting with heavily.
Yeah.
You don't start the conversation with, I don't want you talking to that woman at your job anymore because I don't feel this.
Yes.
We're adult people. When you're married, you have to be
individuals. We have history.
Yes. We don't want to just be disciplined by our partner. We want to be. We want to discuss things. We want to be respected and have that respect back. The way in which you approach that is, this is how I'm feeling. Mm-hmm. Also, when you love and trust and believe in your partner, you want to give them the benefit of the doubt and know that what they're doing is not to hurt you intentionally.
Yes.
So you don't want the topic to be, this is what you're doing to me.
Stay away from pointing the finger.
Stay away from pointing the finger. Make sure that the topic is really what the topic is about, because more than likely what the topic is about is what behavior is happening is making me feel this way and is not good for us because me feeling this way isn't serving us. So we need to alter how this is happening so we can be effective in our and you can actually get to a resolution. So we don't have to talk about this woman, she's got a husband already. I'm not even attracted to her. She's not even my type. This is about, those are all off-topic issues or not going to get you to a place of resolution. We have to really talk about how it's affecting the relationship. So the topic and the content of that. So that's just 3 of the T's as far as conflict resolution or just bringing up something in discussion.
Knowing how to bring it up, knowing how, when, where, why, knowing, also being very intentional on what you're trying to communicate.
Yes.
Staying focused on the emotion of what the issue is.
Yes.
Allowing that to be honored from both your spouse and significant other.
Looking for an actual solution, and then being able to execute that solution in a manner in which, knowing that the solution, you might try one thing and it might not work, and if it doesn't work, then let's try something else.
Right.
Exactly. Being willing to be the chemist of your relationship, for the alchemy of your relationship.
That's good. And the alchemy of that is the new way of being. A lot of times in your marriage and relationship, your greatest asset in your marriage and relationship is the highest power. We believe that's God, Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and the highest power of your relationship and asset is your spouse and significant other. That's your highest power.
That's when you're surrendering.
And the more that you two surrender to placing and putting and placing each other as number one, and you really can get a strong offense in your marriage and relationship when you build a defense.
Yes, and knowing that when you're making the other person number one, you're making both of you number one. Because it has to be
there it is. Tandem. It's got to be tandem. It's got to flow. It's got to flow. So with all that, you both know that you're prioritizing each other enough to give each other enough room that when the issue is being brought up, and this is something that you've taken enough of your level of faith to even, it's not, to even have this conversation. It's not like you've thought about it at the last minute. You have thought over and over about. You have seen the behavior. You have seen several patterns.
And the other person has thought about it, they've justified it to themselves.
Right.
So don't be surprised when you start off with a topic and someone is defensive.
Right.
And know those defensive things and be able to dismantle the defensiveness.
Well, you have to do that out of love, and you have to also understand that that's being done because
there's a technique to do that.
There's a technique because the flesh is so weak. We all want to be guys. We all want to be right. We don't want to be wrong. We all want to look good, guys. We don't want to look bad. So, but
there is no right or wrong.
There is no right or wrong.
There's no winner or loser.
There is no right or wrong. But if
anyone wins, you're both losing.
You're both losing, especially when you're. I've said this in the past too. Especially when you think you're winning, you've really lost, and when you've lost in a marriage and relationship, you've really won.
Yes.
So it's just like being able to mandate. Operate in a mantra, which means this is the belief system that we've created, that we're going to operate in, even when our own flesh is in the way, our own habitual habit is in the way, our genesis of identity is in the way, which is stopping us from the behavior and the desire of what we want in the marriage and relationship. You've got to stay the course. And so that's going to take a lot of patience. That's going to take a lot of, sometimes when arguments start and disagreements start, Brenda Tashi always says, and Tommy had a high-powered conversation. You don't let that get off topic of purpose. You want to stay on purpose, but you do want to be patient to trying to express what it is that you're feeling. Faith and feeling are one and the same, and sometimes you have to operate in your marriage and relationship just not on feelings, but you have to operate on total faith. Is when you're trying to express what it is that feeling is and the behavior that you're seeing and how you may be being triggered by it and what your own internal thoughts are. There's a level of commitment to it, Tia, where you have to be patient, where it's non-triggering. So, say for instance that the topic is being it's being addressed, and your spouse and significant other, they're putting up resistance on, I don't like what I'm hearing, because most of the time
you're going to get resistance, because if someone's doing something that they're comfortable with and it's working for them, then why would they not? They will go into I call it defensive justification, because they're one and the same, and everyone does it. I mean,
we all do it. So the play is
fall into the trap. And we want to stay on topic so we can actually get to at least an attempt of a solution, because what you agree to may not be what actually ends up working. But you have a place to start. And so you can work out that play.
So good,
and if that's not how it works, you know what you need to tweak. You know where you need to move from that.
And you've stayed on topic.
Yes.
Because most of the time in relationship, you have issues on issues because of personal hurts, genesis of identity.
It'll be the woman at work, and then it'll be like, and you know that I only eat ketchup with sugar cane. I don't eat high fructose corn syrup. And you bought that ketchup knowing I couldn't eat it. We start just making up all kinds of things that we think people are attacking us. We can get paranoid and
so good.
All of those other things.
Then you're throwing in everything but the kitchen sink, and then you're throwing the kitchen sink into it, and both of you are not getting what you both want because you're not feeling heard.
Right.
See, the key in having a successful marriage and relationship is not being heard, it is feeling heard. Because once you have the comprehension to understand what another human being is feeling, you have the awareness of someone outside of yourself and what it might look like for them. That would give you awareness that it's like, that wasn't even my intention, and I would never want you to feel that way.
Exactly.
And so that creates, what does that create? There's no wrong and right in that. What it creates is understanding. What it creates is caring.
Hungry to
caring.
know.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to ask why someone is doing. A lot of times when you don't understand why someone is doing something, they have a reason they're doing it that way. It's something that's working for them. It doesn't have to be how you would do it. And you don't have to jump to then you do it yourself.
Yeah, right.
Then
and you do that. And forget it.
I'll do it myself.
I'll do it myself.
You know what? Don't even worry about it. Who doesn't? We all do it. We all do it. It's like, if you don't like the way I do it.
Never mind.
It's like a personal attack. By you saying why, so it's just be curious, because
on the joy effect.
There are so many times when once you find out why someone is doing something the way they're doing it, you can get to an acceptance like, okay, that makes sense.
You can get to that, OMG. Wow. And when real like connectivity
and we don't
happens,
do that with other relationships.
No,
Like
but we
if a
just
professional plumber comes out
high five it,
and he's
high five
working in your sink, you're not like,
Well,
I
we
would
understand
think that
it.
you wouldn't take that off yet.
The approach is so
Even though we have
different.
no idea.
No idea.
Yeah, but
No.
with our spouse, they can be doing something that we
No
have no
benefit
idea
of it.
about.
No benefit
And
of
we
it.
just have so much feedback as far as why would you do it like this? Have you thought about that?
I didn't
Did
do
you
it
think
like that in my past.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you just want to say, is that really
Serving.
is it
Worth it.
worth it?
Is it
How
serving
about-
the marriage and relationship?
What can I help you with?
Yeah,
Like,
right.
what do you need?
Right,
What do you need from me?
right.
Or do you not need me? Do you need me?
Yes.
Do you want an opinion?
Oh, this is interesting. This is interesting.
Don't give solutions when no one's.
Yes.
Don't try to solve problems that people don't have.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You really find out how well you both know and understand one another when you come, and we've done this in seminar work, when couples have had a task to do something and you see how they work together.
Yes.
You really see how they on the simplest of tasks. If you really want to know where your marriage and relationship is, just do something the task and just see the simplest
Something
thing.
very foreign.
And you both go into it, and then you can really realize.
And there are couples
find
that
a lot
are
out about that's
there's
awesome
also
too.
couples that are great at tackling tasks. That doesn't mean they have love and intimacy and deep connectivity
That's
in the
true.
relationship.
That's true.
But like I was saying, in the solution aspect, you can work off of that skill set. So you focus on your strengths, and then you can take strengths that you have and what you are good at and apply them to where you're
Other
struggling.
things.
Yes.
Other things. Another key element is important for the marriage and relationship guys, and what we found out in our body of work is that you have to maintain a level of sensibility in your marriage and relationship where you're not comparing your marriage and relationship to anybody else's marriage and relationship.
Because
Very
you
dangerous
don't
work.
know it. You do
don't know
not
anything.
know what they
You don't know
have
what
going
they're
on.
presenting. You just are seeing one thing, and sometimes
Right.
we have because of our humanness, faith cometh by hearing, and hearing only by the word of God. We don't live by sight, but we should walk by faith. And so you're operating in what you want your marriage and relationship to be. That operation needs to be personally between your wife
Mm-hmm.
and your spouse, the
Yes.
significant other, and your
It's one of my favorite things. What is sacred?
what's
Especially
sacred?
with social media.
What is sacred?
Like what's sacred to
What's
the two of you?
To the two of you.
Mhm.
And then how you want to protect that by not comparing what you have in your
Mhm.
marriage and relationship to someone else's marriage and relationship, because guys,
Yes.
you really don't know. We've been doing this a very long time.
It's so
and the
easy
couples
to
that you
honor
think-
something you don't know. Like it's so
It's so
easy
easy.
to think something is. You can see a beautiful garment and say, "Oh my gosh,
Absolutely.
that is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen." And
Yeah,
then
I've
you
ever seen.
find out that 40 billion animals and the
Yeah.
environment was at risk,
Right.
and there was like slave workmanship
attached
that
to
went
it.
into.
Yeah.
It loses its luster.
And
And so that's true with someone
In
outside of your relationship. Trust
It
me,
does.
they are not
Yeah.
what you're seeing.
it's not what's actually
That
going on.
work or wife, husband that you have that seems so amazing, that he's so nice. You don't live with that guy.
You don't. And
You don't.
none of you. And here's the thing.
You don't live with that woman.
None of you are living with any other individuals, and none of you have that level of intimacy, whether you're living together or not, and you're in a long-term relationship or you're
Mhm.
married.
Yes.
Everybody is getting each other's best self, but you all are so transparent in your marriage and relationship
Mhm.
where you're not giving each other your best self.
Not all
So,
the time.
not
but
all
you're
the time,
working on
but you're
improving,
There it is.
presenting your best self.
Yes, and understanding that it takes more than just commitment.
Yes.
It takes
Work.
work, and it
Investment.
takes there it is there an investment, and it takes real faith and real forgiveness and real love to keep making the decision to say, I'm going to love you, and I'm going to love you in the way that you deserve,
And I just
in the way that you
Yes.
deserve, and in the way that you need outside of my shortcomings. I want to get to the place to love you in that need where you feel understood,
yes.
where you
One-
feel whole,
Yeah,
where you
one
feel
of our
safe.
favorite services that we have is when we get to do a date night with a couple.
Oh yeah, this one's fun
because
it's already been an hour.
Oh, it's already been an hour.
Yeah.
But when we do a date night with a couple, it gives you an experience where you're feeling good on date night. You've gone on date nights before, but we all know so many date nights start out bad in the car. It's always like, we had a reservation. I don't know why why did we put gas in the car?
Right. Why did you do this?
Exactly.
Why did you do that?
So we, when we do our sessions, on date night sessions, we do icebreakers. We help facilitate conversations. We help give you some of that joy factor, what to focus on, and it's a really fun addition to some of the coaching sessions that we do. And we're fun to be around
all the time.
I mean, I'm fun, and Marion's fun when I'm fun.
We know who the fun person is.
Sometimes he's way more fun. I can get very, very focused on something.
I can have my moments of crazy fun. That is the truth.
Yeah, so that's another service that we love to do, and we just want to celebrate and create and cultivate more love and relationship here in Tulsa and then in the community. And please reach out and just even do a sizzler session with us.
Yeah, you can find all of that, guys. You can find all of these little services on our Carlin Coupling Code Facebook page.
Yes.
You can find our services on carlincouplingcode.com. You can reach out to us through Facebook Messenger, which people do all the time.
Facebook Messenger is like a really strong way to go. We're a little low tech, high touch.
High touch. You can also reach us at carlincouplingcode@gmail.com. We are so honored to be a part of the Eaton Media Services family. I want to say one more thing that's real important. Guys, the Juice Kids are in full effect, just dynamic. These kids have been a part of the KBOB family since the inception of KBOB. Yes. Bobby has been mentoring these kids in radio and media.
And they're all really great kids.
Well, they're amazing kids.
They're dynamic.
They're amazing kids. And they are eager to just keep learning and expanding their level of knowledge, not only around Tulsa, but the tri-state area and the United States.
Yes.
These kids, which you guys already know, we are trying to raise the monies for a van here at KBOB, a 14-passenger van.
Yeah.
T and I made a video this week, and we appreciate everybody's response. Some people have been texting and commenting on sending through the Cash App, money source, how you can send money to Eaton Media Services. It's Cash App for this van. All that Bobby is asking, and Ramal and Trey, is for $5. It's just $5. So we appreciate everybody that has already donated to $5. You can donate more, but we're only asking for $5. The Starbucks cup of coffee amount, right?
Exactly.
And it's going
to the price of everything now. I don't think anything costs less than $5.
Isn't there a store $5? Isn't there like a 5 and below?
There is a 5 and below.
5 and below store. So we would be very just appreciative and
5
grateful.
5 things at the Dollar Tree.
Yeah, 5 things at the Dollar Tree.
Less than a purchase at the dollar store, because everything at the dollar store is not a dollar, which we always have to discuss. I always have to remind you that the Dollar Tree.
Yeah, it's different. It's
different.
So, guys, $5. Go to Cash App, Eaton Media Services.
For the children.
For the kids.
And they're not kids, but they're kids to us.
They're kids to us, yeah. A lot of them are from, just dynamic schools, all over Tulsa.
Of them are just very charismatic.
And they're here wanting to just give back to the community.
Yes,
you guys,
future leaders.
They're future leaders in the community. You guys have been listening to
Coupling with the Carlins. KBOB. Where will we be? When can they hear from us again? Next Friday at 4 o'clock.
4 to 5 p.m. KBOB 89.9 FM, Black on Black Community Radio. Live streaming 24/7, KBOB899.com.
Let's start working on that relationship now so we can have a great Christmas.
Yes, a great Christmas.
Yeah.
Now's the time.
Going to the fall so we can cozy up. We're going to want to. We're going to want to cozy.
Now this is dangerous because this happens in marriage and relationship. Do you know the two most months where people get separated and divorced are in September and in January.
Right.
Most people do the due right in September.
They're like, I don't want to do the Christmas, or I just want to get through.
I want to get through Christmas.
And usually there's a pocket of time
yes.
that you can address a lot of issues where you can get to January, and what you were feeling in September isn't even an issue anymore.
There it is. There it is. It isn't even an issue anymore. If you're feeling like your marriage and relationship, guys, needs
a little
tune-up,
needs a little tweak,
reach out to us. We want to commit to transforming your marriage and relationship by rekindling, restoring, and retaining more love in your marriage and relationship by attuning and atoning, and then us giving you the tools in the toolbox to know how to do that.
How to do it.
So, guys, I've got an oldie but a goodie to you. I've got an oldie but a goodie. It's a good one, and I love
What's
you
it
will too.
Be? What's it gonna be?
Well, this was one of This was one of your
I
brothers.
also wanted to say, excuse how I'm like clearing my face.
No, you look beautiful.
Ugly today.
Thank God for women who know how to rock just all the facial cleansings and getting your face healthy.
You're pretty.
You're pretty with no makeup. You're pretty with makeup.
And I shouldn't have even said anything.
But you look gorgeous, and nobody even knew you didn't have makeup.
Right?
You're still a woman, but nobody even knew you didn't have makeup. You look gorgeous. I've got an oldie but a goodie. Tia, you are, you know what? You are my sweet love. You are my sweet love. And I have here for you Anita Baker.
And happy birthday to our baby.
Yes, happy birthday to our oldest
baby girl.
Yes.
2-5.
2-5.
She's 2-5.
Baby, we love you. Little Kay, we love you. Shout out. We love you. We love you. We love you.
We love you. Happy birthday. 25 years ago. It's me and you, girls. Me and you.
There it is. So here we have, guys. Here we have Sweet Love by Anita Baker. Guys, have a beautiful weekend. I think the art crawl is tonight.
I think it is.
The art crawl is tonight. Here's Anita Baker. Sweet love, everybody.
Oh, I love Anita Baker.
Yeah, cheers and God bless everybody.
See you next week. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.
In a minute, everybody. Cheers and God bless.
With all my heart, I love you, baby. Stay with me, and you will see my arms will hold you, baby. Never leave, 'cause I believe I'm in love. Sweet love, you're my darling, not your love. I feel no shame, I'm in love. Sweet love, don't you ever come away. It'll always be this way. Your heart has gone closer to you. I will be all that you need. Just trust